Hello and welcome to This Time Africa. Well, as you know, we are in the studios of Africa today and we are talking about the democratic state of Africa, and this is segment 3 where I have to discuss infrastructure in Africa. I have with me the Reverend Jean-Claude Atusa Meso from the Democratic Republic of Congo. Welcome to the show, Jean-Claude.
Thank you.
And I also have Sadiq Abubakar from Ghana.
Thank you very much.
And Alain Kombo from Congo, Brazzaville.
Great to be here.
All right, so we have been talking about democracy and all of that. Let's talk about money, economic empowerment, and all of that. In order that our economy should grow, one of the things that Africa should be talking about is our infrastructure. It's all yours, gentlemen. Let's talk about it. Transportation, structural things, all of that. Who wants to start?
I'll go first.
All right.
So it's such a big, broad word.
It is.
That has many, many layers to it. And it's critically important that we focus on it. And so I think that Africa, I guess we ordinary people who are the citizens of Africa and the ultimate consumers of these infrastructure things that are being built, maybe we need to have a better understanding of what is being built and what purpose it serves. I'm going to give you an example. In my own Congo Brazzaville, the government has gone to great lengths to build what we're calling general hospitals in each of the provinces across the country. So we're investing a lot of money, but then we are finding that the issue that we're really faced with is that we don't have the capacity, the trained medical capacity to be able to staff these hospitals to get the most out of it. The money has been spent, the buildings are sitting empty, and so that's why I think that it's important, but it's also important to really talk about it, to be a little more coherent about what it is that we're doing.
Okay.
Thank you very much. This is quite a heavy load. When we talk about infrastructure, I'm looking at educational infrastructure, production and value addition infrastructure, standardization infrastructure, renewable energy infrastructure, medical infrastructure, research and medical infrastructure, R&D infrastructure. We're talking about market infrastructure, good hospitals, properly equipped. You're talking about identification infrastructure. To be able to identify every single citizen within your, your country is a necessity.
It is.
To be able to have the database system that captures the ins and outs of identity of the people is very important. How do we synergize all these and have a productive environment? One, we need to focus on certain phases of infrastructure or infrastructural development. We need to make sure that people are well educated. So an investment in education, proper curriculum, not theory, only theory-based, but a transitional curriculum between theory and practice. One, if your people are well educated and they can take theory and turn it into something ideal, you have the rest of the infrastructural aspect of your development synergizing. Because if I understand theory and I can translate it, you don't need the Chinese or the Americans or the French or the Germans to build the next road for us. You have the engineers or the civil engineers, the architects to do those things for you.
On the ground.
The energy infrastructure, translated theory. If your engineers, mechanical engineers and energy thermodynamics engineers understand how to harness the power of the sun, they understand how to harness the power of water in hydroelectric plants, they understand how to tap into the power of the wind and wind turbines, then your energy problems are solved. If your energy problems are solved, your production or value addition to your resources would also be solved. Part of the biggest problem in Africa is the fact that we do not have enough energy to power our industries.
And it's because, why do you think it's so, Jean-Claude?
To power our industries, it's just a way of using new technologies and using opportunities we have in Congo, in our African countries. I'm speaking Congo because I'm from the Congo, and I have been studying the strategies of empowering Congolese villages, Congolese cities, and the whole Congo. Now, when you speak about Congo, people see about the big Inga Dam, when Congo can bring power everywhere. But I'm taking Congo in making in consideration all the rivers, all the waters as the opportunity of bringing power to the people. We have partners in Poland. Those partners in Poland are able to produce for us small turbine, which we can put in any river in Congo, and with the speed of the river, we can also produce electricity for villages, and also we can produce, we can build also with the new technology. There are other electricities which are using hydrogen, which is water minus oxygen. And we have partners here in the US which can bring like a small equipment, which is kind of like a dryer, and you put it in a village, and that equipment can provide electricity to the whole village, the whole city, and it can provide electricity to big manufacturing company we can be putting there. I think also today, speaking about electricity, speaking about energy, is just a goodwill where officials, where state officials can be dealing or discussing with, for example, us, African of the diaspora, who know a lot about new technologies, or we have friends who can bring a lot of technology on electricity. But also, it's about how to fund electricity. Because today, I've been studying a lot on infrastructure projects in Africa. Some of the problem we have in Africa is what I like to call the blind spot. All officials, they know what they need, but they don't do their best to take the steps needed in order for them to get what they want. Let me say, for example, that a governor of a province, of a state, he knows that he needs electricity. He's going to be traveling, going everywhere talking about electricity, but he's not sitting down to have a team of experts to put for him a feasibility study, a bankable feasibility study, which can present to the investors where they can put money in order for them to give electricity.
Or on the other hand, let's say he knows and he's met the investors and they've had conversation about that. And what happens next? Money issues come in. Isn't that where corruption comes in? So are we saying that they know and they're not doing the right thing, or they don't know where to start? And how do we help them? You were talking about the diaspora sitting with us, if we have more knowledge, and how to impart that knowledge.
Please.
That's why I take this question of infrastructure for us, people of the diaspora, and an opportunity for us to bring our contribution on the motherland. Because speaking about infrastructure, today the whole Africa has at least 15% of the infrastructure. Now we have to complete 85%. And us on the diaspora, we need to be studying for our partners or our brothers who can be state officials, who can be governors, how we can help them to strategize, to do studies, so that we can help them to have access to fund so that they can bring what they need.
Or we can also
Africa.
be those people who are taking those positions to lead our country forward. What do you think, gentlemen?
Well, if you don't mind me saying so, I am the co-founder of YADI, Young African Diaspora Initiative.
Correct.
And we are taking it upon ourselves as a diaspora organization to round up and galvanize all the dispersed energies of young Africans to get them to participate in the economic emergence of Africa. These are effectively young Americans who have been educated, who live, who function, who in an American society that functions, in an American society where solutions are found in order to address the problems of the country. And this is a critically important responsibility, and there's a willingness of this body, this constituency, to make itself available with its young counterparts on the continent to be able to bring solutions to some of the issues that the continent faces.
I also look at it this way. Africa is not lacking talent. We're not lacking in innovation.
Yes.
We're just lacking the will force from leadership to harness the talents that we have. You talked about electricity, energy in the Congo. Research shows that the Congo Basin alone has the capacity to actually generate electricity for the entire continent of Africa.
Yes.
Hydroelectric power from the rapids there is enough to power the entire continent of Africa. Now, there are opportunities for using new technologies in the energy sector. For example, creating microgrids that power villages. But those are not for industrialization. They are for powering households and individual spaces where not too much electricity is required. We need to look at the bigger picture. Where there is the resource, what are we using the Sahara Desert for? Nothing. The Chinese have offered to actually desertify the desert. We have the technology. It will surprise you to know that, and forgive me if this sounds very vile, but cow dung has the capacity to actually do some miracle.
Electricity on our own. Yep.
It's sitting there, nothing. So let's look interior. Let's look inside of us. Let's harness the energy, the innovativeness of young Africans for posterity, because we can do this. Generating electricity is not rocket science. It's nothing new. It's already been done.
That's why my question is, do we think that those who are in power don't know? I think they do. I think they can reach out to us. I think they can reach out to investors. What is stopping them from coming to us? Why is it not moving forward? Because we've had this conversation over and over again. We know what to do with the Congo. What do we need to do now?
They have been getting in touch. They have reached out.
Okay.
I have different projects from Congo. I have a couple from Mali. I've been contacted about a couple in Zambia. As of actually yesterday, I was talking with some people about investing in energy in Zambia.
Okay.
The problem is this, and my brother here touched on it: funding. Governments are reaching out to you and telling you we don't have funds. So we want you to bring the technology, bring the money, and give us, and this is where the problem is, give us a 15% cut as finder's fee. So you're sitting back and asking yourself, what does this guy mean? How serious is this person? You are telling me you need infrastructural development, you need this, you need that, but you want me to bring the technology, you want me to bring the funders, and you want me to give you
Some
15% of the investment money because you're the one who gave me the project.
So does the project bring a change to the country? Will the project help with development and bringing up our economy? That's what we're talking about. We're going to take a short break and we'll be right back. Hang in there.
Do you want to promote your business? Do you want to talk about your nonprofit organization? Do you want to talk about your culture? Introducing the online web TV, Africa Today. We are live every Sunday at 3 p.m. Our shows are 3 p.m. Sunday Guests with Elaine Pierre. 4 p.m. This Time Africa with San Natilda Banga. 5 p.m. Transformation Point with Dr. Natalie Kamsudomo. 5:30 Cyber Connect with Jean Bosco Fogham. You can watch us live at the same time on 4 platforms: Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and using the Africa Today app. Download our app today for Android or Apple. Promote your business today. For more information, go to www.africtoday.com. Africa Today, the best of digital TV.
We are back in the studios and we are looking at the democratic state of Africa, and in this segment we are talking about infrastructure. So before we left, Jean-Claude, Reverend Jean-Claude, Sadiq was saying that they know what we want and there are investors who can fund some of these projects. What do you think is the impediment? Is it the fact that they have, or they need a cutback on the back end, or is it the fact that they're not credible enough to have something that would be their legacy? Because if I become something, for instance, in Sierra Leone, I would definitely want to leave a legacy when I leave my seat of government. What do you think it is?
I'm going to use my own experience to tell that sometimes what I said at the beginning, the blind spot. You have the project with our governors. We have the investor, and you have natural resources in our countries. Now, the investor doesn't know how he can meet our official because they are using a language where each other doesn't understand. They don't understand each other. And you have our natural resources, and they don't know how to make the link between the natural resources and what can be done. Now, we need to come up with a new strategy, and that what I'm using now in the Democratic Republic of Congo, and I'm discussing with a lot of governors, and they agree with that. What we need to do, in addition to having Jatu King Providence Foundation as one of my heart, the second one, I have another company, which is the Global Infrastructure, Commodity and Finance. On my company, we decided to become the institution which is going to be making bankable feasibility studies for different governors on their project. And we decided with some governors who have mining concessions in their states, we are bringing investors who are coming. We're going to be extracting minerals, let me say, for example, gold. After extracting gold, the investor will be going to take his percentage on gold, but the percentage of the states or of the province, we're going to be using it to build what I'm calling the investment account for the province. This gold is not to be sold. This gold, we're going to put it as a deposit in the bank. I'm taking Aruba or I'm taking Switzerland. We put those gold there, and from the gold, we're going to be taking what we call the SKR, which is safekeeping receipt. And we're going to trade that receipt at Wall Street, and the gold which is sitting there without being sold, is getting money by the receipt which has been trade. And with that receipt, we are able to get a lot of money to fund the infrastructure project on energy, roads, clinics, schools, you name it. And the more gold or the more diamond we are putting at the bank, the more outcome we are getting from the Wall Street according to the value of the gold we have there. But it's a strategy which can be put in place with good expert in order for us to be getting the output we're expecting in order for us to be building.
Great strategy, I think. What do you think, Ellen?
Actually, no, I'm actually quite impressed. I cannot speak to that because it's indeed a great strategy. One thing when I think about infrastructure is that I think it also represents a great opportunity for more African citizens to participate in a restoration of the dignity of their daily lives. What do I mean by that? We talk often about Chinese companies coming to Africa with their own labor. Mm-hmm. And we've also learned that a lot of that labor are essentially people that have been taken out of prisons. They have enough numbers that they can actually be able to staff these projects. Well, so in my view, these are people who go from being unskilled to skilled labor because they're learning, right there on the job. Mm-hmm. So as we're talking, there's always this sort of a tendency to kind of bypass the citizens, the end users. I think that when I think about it, if I am intimately involved in turning my own street that used to be a big puddle of water when it rains to become a nice, clean, properly paved road, I'm going to be much more inclined to make sure that it's clean, to make sure that we repair it, so that we have to increasingly implicate the citizens into this project so they can take full ownership of it. It is theirs when it's all said and done.
Very much so. Sadiq?
Yeah, thank you very much. To piggyback on what my brother was talking about in terms of leveraging or securitizing resources for generating funding for projects, I would love to have this conversation with you on a separate note, because in as much as I admire the principle, I also see the question of exploitation, because you're dealing within an environment that is very exploitative. One thing is your genuine intention for the country. The other thing is, who are you dealing with? The banks in Switzerland, we have too many stories. Wall Street, we have too many stories. Yeah. There are vultures that would consume this and find a way to take it. But it doesn't mean it's not doable. If you have resources like Congo does, leveraging it is not going to be a problem. But leveraging it right, so that in the end it's the Congolese people that are benefiting, is very key. We also touched on the idea of dignity. That is the primary thing. If we can give the African a dignified sense of being, we've solved the problem. We need to always focus on the African as a person who has the personality that allows him to sit and think positively in the right direction. But someone who does not feel dignified, does not even have the energy to sit back and think for himself. He's always thinking of where to get the next ends meet. If this is your daily prayer, you're not going anywhere. So infrastructure development, let's carve it around the 4H principle. Taking care of the heart, the hands, the what do you call it? The health, and the head.
Okay, yeah.
The person has good drinking water, he has good food to eat, he can walk in the woods and feel comfortable, think about things that are around him, appreciate nature. The person can think.
Well, even
Subtly.
the market women, say from the grassroots, you know, they have their products, and how do they take it to the cities? Just simple thing like that, as providing transportation from one place to the other, so that they can sell their wares. I think that's very important.
There's also something, now I have heard this where, well-meaning government officials find themselves somewhat frustrated. They say, well, we built this so that our people can come in and build businesses, but they're not doing it. What more can we do? So there's a little bit of a disconnect.
Okay.
You know, so yeah, so there's you know, like, it's not all bad, you know. There's definitely some positives there that we can harness and build on. The everyday people don't know what they don't know. There's you mentioned it earlier. The building infrastructure goes hand in hand with the capacity building. We're bringing up the people,
Yeah.
and that's part of the whole concept of them participating in a restoration of the dignity of the daily lives.
All right. As we wrap up, one last word from you, and then Sadiq will wrap up.
For me, I would like to focus on also saying that it's important also to think infrastructure on the African Union level. When we speak about building highways, building railways, it's good to have some good expert to think on the African Union level how we can put some highways which are going to help someone to go from the North Africa to South Africa, and also how to have a lot of other highways going from the east to the west. Because if each country can be building its own infrastructure on road, on railway, we will not sometimes have connections between those countries. Sometimes it's going to be easy to think so, like for some highways like we have in the US, the 95 highway, which goes to Maine to Miami, and the 40 highway which goes to the east to the west. And we can have many of them like that, but this one must be studied at the level of the African Union.
Is the ECHO going to help, Sadiq?
The ECHO is going to help, yes. But also, let's look at it this way. You can travel from East Africa all the way to West Africa, tip to tip. But the impediment is the borders.
So is the ECHO currency going to help us? And is that going to, save us with the visa issues and all of that? Is it going to help? Or is it a conversation for the next show?
It would be a conversation for the next show, but the integration of the economies is going to streamline a new system of, partnership among the countries. Africa is said to be on its path to greatness. Nothing is going to change that. We just need to begin thinking in the right direction.
Africa is on its path to greatness. That's how we wrap it up on segment 3. We will be coming back to have the same conversations. It's been so great to have all of you here with me. And again, this is This Time Africa. We're meeting here in the studios of Afrique Today. We have been talking about democratic state of Africa. You know how to watch us every Sunday at 4 p.m. Please, you can just tune to www.afriquetoday.com. Also go to Twitter or Facebook. And if you have a Fire Stick and you have your Amazon, just go there and you can watch us. It's been great. Again, this is your host, Sia Matilda Banga, and I'll see you next time.